Okay, welcome to All Things Podcast. I am Peter Kim, your host, and today's topic is what is the best foodie movie? What is the best foodie movie? If you think about different genres, different types of movies, you got like The Big Lebowski is like the best stoner movie, I guess. I don't know. I never sat through the whole thing. I actually hated it. I thought it was really, really stupid, but I respect it. I respect its place in pop culture. I would say most guys would say that the best poker movie is Rounders. But what is the best foodie movie? What is the best movie for foodies? Now, my discussion today, my monologue, my soliloquy, will be limited to movies I've seen. And that's like, basically I have a list of 5 that I would consider a foodie movie. Now, I'm not saying that none of the movies I've seen have had food, that these are the only movies I've had food, but I listen under different criteria. So I thought of 3 different criteria about what makes a good foodie movie, okay? So here we go. First criteria is that, number 1, it has to be about food. Food cannot be incidental to the movie. There can't be one great scene in a movie. So, for example, I'm showing my age here a little bit, but when I was growing up, when Harry Met Sally, there was a really infamous scene, a very famous scene of Sally faking an orgasm in a cafe, played by Meg Ryan, and Rob Reiner's mother says, "I'll have what she's having," and that's like a classic pop culture moment from the 80s. But it's not a foodie moment. It's not, it's related to food, but it's not about food. And that's my point, is that the movie that, for me to consider a movie to be a foodie movie, it has to be actually about food, where food is integral to the plot. Number 2, it has to have emotional impact. And what I mean by that is it has to be, it has to move me. It has to be a story with depth. It has to be a movie that, that moves me, that stirs the soul. Because food is not just about something that you eat, it's about something that you live through, that affects you. And lastly, what makes a good food movie? It needs to make me appreciate or crave food more after watching it. A good foodie movie will have to make me want to say like, oh, damn, now I really need to whatever. So for example, again, going back to Rounders, after watching Rounders, I don't know how a person cannot want to play poker after watching Rounders. I mean, it's just, it's a classic. So when I watch a movie, it needs to make me want to crave to eat that particular food or just food in general. So I am going to start off with one that maybe you thought of if you are at all into foodie stuff. And that is the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Jiro Dreams of Sushi. This was a lovely movie. It's one of my favorite documentaries, but I'm actually not considering it as a good foodie movie. And there are a couple of reasons why. One is that it's a documentary. I'm not saying that a documentary can't be about food, have emotional impact, and make me crave and appreciate food more. By that measurement, then Jiro Dreams of Sushi excels at it. But I am leaving off all documentaries. It's really cool. It's really crazy. Let me just check my mic here because it's digging into my hip. Okay. It's really cool. It's really amazing to see the rise of these foodie shows or podcasts like Ugly Delicious, Mind of a Chef, Chef's Table. If you've never heard of any of those, you need to check them out right now. There are a whole other bunch on YouTube. What's that guy? The pizza guy. There's the pizza show. based in New York, Brooklyn, whatever. That's awesome too. I've seen Phil Eats the World or something like that? Phil Rosenthal, the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond. Phil Eats? Is it Phil Eats? Somebody Feed Phil. Somebody Feed Phil. I enjoyed it. That was good. There's just an embarrassment of riches of documentaries about food that are awesome. Was it Michael Pollan's? Pollan. Yeah, Michael Pollan. He has a whole bunch of different. He has like 4 different episodes on food, like fire and water and stuff like that. That was pretty cool too. Again, a lot of great documentaries, but I just don't consider them like a foodie movie. They're about food, but they're documenting, they're telling a story through food. But I don't know, it's just a very arbitrary rule. I feel like the best foodie documentary series deserves its own category, which I will not do right now because that was not in the plan. So Giorgio's Sushi, great, but it's off the list. Oh, also, I've heard stories, and I'm sure you can Google this, that he may be pretty racist against non-Japanese people, which makes me not want to necessarily eat there. So, just Google it, and you'll see stories. I've read somewhere, God, where was it? Maybe on Reddit, on like a sushi Reddit or something, where someone was saying how, they as a foreigner were turned away, and then their Japanese wife, shortly after that, was seated, and then he came in, and it was really awkward. I could be remembering it wrong, but anyway. So Three Origins of Sushi, lovely, beautifully shot. My wife and I, we reference it whenever we drink a beer. Umami. But I'm just not considering it in my discussion. Next up, Ratatouille. Okay, Ratatouille is a movie about a rat who is a foodie, and he infiltrates the culinary world in France, and alongside this young chef, they form a partnership, a friendship, and they both achieve their dreams together. This is not a review. I'm just sharing my thoughts on sticking to the topic of the best foodie movies. Ratatouille was good, and I really, really appreciate their focus on the food. Because I guess maybe of the format of the medium of a cartoon, they were able to very beautifully, very vividly express what food is supposed to do. There's that climactic moment where the food critic comes in and tastes the rat. I forgot the rat's name. Is it Lemmy? It's been a long time. Lemmy? Where the food critic comes in and tastes the rat's ratatouille, and he's like blown back to his childhood. And that was a really beautiful moment, because to me, that's what food does. Food affects your soul. Food gets down to the heart of you. And that was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. But for some reason or another, I just don't remember a lot about it. I love cartoons. I still watch them from time to time. Adventures of Batman, Superman, Batman the Animated Series, Justice League. I enjoy cartoons, but for some reason, I don't know. Intellectually, I knew this was beautiful, and I love they consulted Thomas Keller on it, and I feel like everything was executed really beautifully. But for some reason, it just doesn't really stick with me. Why is that? I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. But to me, it was about food. It did have emotional impact. It did not make me appreciate or crave food more after watching it. It made me intellectually satisfied, I think, but it just didn't get me, right here. So that is off the list. Next is a relatively recent-ish movie. When was it released? It's the movie Chef by Jon Favreau. It was 2014, so 4 years ago. Jon Favreau, he is one of those guys where it's like, man, I would love to meet him one day. There's like 3 or 4 celebrities I would love to meet. He is one of those guys I would love to meet and just like have a beer with and just, I don't know, because fucking Swingers, man. Swingers is from when was Swingers? Swingers movie. 1994? Oh, it was 96. Okay, so, you know, he wrote and produced Swingers and the Iron Man, of course. So he's a great director and writer and a great talent. And Chef is about a chef who is at an impasse in his life where he doesn't know necessarily where he's going. He doesn't necessarily, he's kind of lost his edge. And so it's his journey of, okay, so, you know, the inciting moment at the very beginning of the movie is he loses his shit at his restaurant. And so there are repercussions, and then now it's like, okay, it's a hero's journey in terms of him figuring out his place in the world and going through change and all that stuff. And it's a lovely movie. It's a nice movie. And there's like, you know, it makes a callback to like the food truck craze. Not that it's over, but you know, it talks about, it's part of the movie is set on a food truck. And it was cool. It was nice, I guess. It was fine. Is it about food? Yes, it is. I mean, they spend like 5 minutes going over like this, how to make a grilled cheese sandwich, which I really respect and appreciate. Did it make me appreciate or crave food more after watching it? Not really. It kind of did. Kind of made me want to eat tacos. Was it tacos or is it tortas? Something. Did it have an emotional impact? No, it did not. I knew where they were getting at, but I just felt like you knew the plot from like the 3rd or 4th scene. That's how I felt. So I guess it was a little bit too predictable for me to be like, oh my gosh, oh, you know, go Jon Favreau. It didn't really get to me, you know, so it didn't grip my heart. So, you know, in terms of comparing it to, like, let's say Ratatouille, which maybe is not a fair comparison, but to compare them, Ratatouille, to me, I think it really does succeed on an intellectual level. And maybe it's because I know, like, how much planning and prep and specific coordination needs to go into one of these Pixar movies. I think it's Pixar. Yeah, it is Pixar. But Ratatouille, Chef, it looks like a nice movie, and it was. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just feel like it was too paint by the numbers. I did feel like it was a little dated too. That's the thing with a lot of these blockbuster movies, like the big movie studio, big name movies, like No Reservations and Burnt. Those are 2 movies where I've seen part of Burnt. I saw like maybe 20 minutes of Burnt, and they feel really, really dated in terms of the pop culture atmosphere amongst foodies, you know, because Burnt was this whole thing about the chase for Michelin stars and stuff, but people have been talking about the downfall of the Michelin rating system for years. You know, even as like, I'm not a chef, I'm not a restaurant owner, but I love food and I love foodie documentaries and you know, I loved No Reservations and you know, some of Gordon Ramsay's early stuff. But a lot of it, I feel like they're really behind the times in terms of like, oh, like, it's not, I mean, I understand that Michelin is a big deal still, but it's not nearly as coveted, as vital to a restaurant's success as, let's say, Eater or Thrillist. I mean, if a contemporary movie were to be made about Thrillist or Eater or TripAdvisor, like their impact on a restaurant, on the food scene, then that would feel current. You know, I'm not saying it would be good. I'm not saying it would be a good movie, but I'm saying it would feel more current versus like this obsession with Michelin stars. When you have seen documentaries about the fall of Michelin, then they make a movie about a guy chasing Michelin stars, it feels really off. It's like this would have been good 12 or 15 years ago. So, no reservations, Burnt. I haven't seen them, have no desire to see the rest of Burnt. So here we go down to my top 2 picks for foodie movies. By the way, Giorgio's Sushi, Ratatouille, Chef, I mentioned these because, yes, I've seen them, and I actually enjoy them, but they are not, they just don't particularly hit me as a powerful foodie fictional movie. So now we're getting to the good stuff. Now I haven't seen either of these movies in a couple of years. This next one, I haven't seen in quite a while, but I remember it from like a long time ago, which to me that qualifies. These 2 movies I would recommend you watch and enjoy. And if you watch it, please leave a comment on my video or send me a message what you thought about it. No, leave a comment. Don't send me a message. Why would you send me a message? Just leave a comment, right? Okay, so I actually really I'm excited to talk about. I haven't talked about these movies in a long time. First movie that you should watch, or this next one, is Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. A lot of good memories. I've only seen this movie like twice, 2 or 3 times actually. I think this might even be, I might have even rented it from Blockbuster. I mean, this is like a long time ago. But Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. Great foodie movie. I mean, okay, first of all, let's go through the criteria. Is it about food? Yes, it is. It's called Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. And it's about a family, a father, and then his 3 daughters. And the father is a chef. So food is a very much a primary, theme or component of the movie. Does it have emotional impact? Absolutely yes. And here's the cool thing. Yes, it has emotional impact. Does it make me appreciate or crave food more after watching it? Absolutely yes. And the cool thing is that those are tied in together. It makes me appreciate and crave food more because the story, which is about food, has emotional impact. It's pretty awesome. Let me just go into spoilers, I guess. Giorgio's Sushi, Ratatouille, Chef, I didn't really spoil them too much. I don't think. But these are definitely spoilers, but these movies are like over 20 years old. So, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, when was this released? It was released in 1994, so it was about 24 years ago. So if you haven't seen it, then too bad. And stop right now and watch it because it's a great movie. Let's see, 91 on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.8 on IMDb. Anyway, directed by Ang Lee. Why did I not know that? I did not know that. Anyway, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. So it's about a family. Guy's a chef, and the thing is what was it? Shit, it's been a while since I've seen it. It's like he's losing his taste, and of course, as a chef, if you lose your taste, then you lose a very important part of your identity as a chef, as a person. And basically, he has all these different complicated relationships with his daughters. And there's just this one moment. I just got the goosebumps because I thought about the moment. I just got shivers. There's this one moment at the end that just, for me, it seals it. So, all this drama between the different daughters and stuff, it's a family drama. But food is an important part of their family life. And there's this one moment at the end where the chef is tasting his daughter's cooking. And the whole fucking movie, he's lost his taste. And he's tasting the cooking of his daughter, and he says, "It's salty." He says, "It's salty." It's like, you can taste it? It's like, yeah. Oh, I just got goosebumps. Because it's like, that connection, like this father and daughter have been estranged. But And this is why I fucking love food, is that they're estranged, but food unites them. Like they've been arguing, and they have different life goals, they have different priorities in their lives, but they both love each other, and they're both sympathetic to each other, even if they can't connect with each other. And what unites them is like this one dish, and that's beautiful. That's honestly, I have to watch it again because that's all I remember of the movie. 1994, so I must have watched it a few years after. So I mean, I've watched it 20 years ago, and it stuck with me. So that says something right there. Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. Also, it was directed by Ang Lee, which again, I did not know that. So that's pretty neat. Okay, and it's not my number one, but my last. Let's see, who was the person who played the daughter? I don't remember if she did. Anyway, okay, doesn't matter. Stop. Okay, so my number one favorite foodie movie. As much as I enjoy Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, it's been a long time, and so I don't really remember a lot about it. Just that one moment for me sealed the deal on it. But my number one foodie movie for me is a movie called Tampopo. 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 This is a Japanese movie released in 1985. Oh, wait a minute. I remember. Ken Watanabe, the guy from Last Samurai and Batman. He was the fake Ra's al Ghul. Ken Watanabe, this is one of his first roles, but he plays kind of a minor character, but it's pretty cool to see. Anyway, Tampopo. Tampopo, the story, I saw this a few years ago, again, for multiple, I've watched it multiple times. God, it's such a simple story. It's about a truck driver who happens to stop by a ramen shop, and the owner is clearly in trouble, and so he decides to help. So the movie is basically their journey of making her ramen shop better. That's it. And along this A story, there are a few different B stories, little sides of just moments of silliness, kind of outrageous moments where of food. So let's go down the list real quick. Is it about food? Absolutely yes, 100%. It is. It's more so about food than even the story about the truck driver helping the ramen shop owner. Does it have emotional impact? Yeah. Oh man, there's this one scene with a family. So I guess family it affects me a lot. Maybe it family themed stuff. Maybe it affects you too. There's this one moment where should I share it? Don't listen to this unless you've watched it. Like download it, find it somewhere. Where can you find it? You can find it on, I don't know, YouTube. You can find it on YouTube or iTunes or Google Play or Vudu. I don't even know what the fuck Vudu is, but yeah, get it there. So stop and watch it, and then there's this one beautiful, beautiful scene where this mom, she's dying, she's sick, she's on her deathbed, and then you have this dad and the kids all crying like, oh, don't die, don't die, and then they're so desperate for her to stay alive that the dad says, hey, make something, we're hungry, make us a meal. And like that part of her brain is so deep that she gets off of her fucking deathbed and cooks her family a meal. And then they're eating it. Oh, it's so good. And then she dies. Like that moment. Again, does it have emotional impact? Fuck yes, because it talks about the power of food to unite people. And it also communicates a mother's love for her family. So much that, even though physiologically her body is done, but she finds it within herself to cook one last meal for her family. And it speaks to the heart of a mother. It speaks to a parental love that is so deep, so deep. How do you express that? You express it through a simple meal. That was really powerful. Now that's probably the heaviest moment of the movie, but damn it, it's so powerful. And then there are some other, it's like, have you seen Love Actually? If you've seen Love Actually, Love Actually is about love. The theme is love, and there are different types of love. Romantic fling love. There's a mournful love. There is adulterous love. There is a platonic love. There is fresh love. All these, the death of love. That's similar to like Tempopo, where it's like different variations on food's place in our lives, whether it's something deep like in a family, or it's something like erotic, like between two lovers. So they had all of that. The opening scene to Tempopo is one of my favorite opening scenes to any movie, where the two truck drivers, one of whom is Ken Watanabe, I totally forgot about it until just now, and they're describing eating a bowl of ramen. And I think this one scene changed my life in terms of how I appreciate food. If you want to know how to appreciate food, you watch the first 5-10 minutes of this movie. And it's given as a satire because there's a master ramen eater, not even a maker, a master ramen eater teaching this young dude how to appreciate ramen. And it's really silly, it's stupid, but to me it's pretty profound because I was like, holy shit, like, yeah, each moment has its place. Every part of a dish should have a place. And there is one way to eat a dish, and there is a better way, and then there is the best way to enjoy, to consume a bowl of ramen. And I think something similar could be said for a lot of different dishes, where there's a better way, a best way to appreciate something. So for example, why do people get pissed from New York? Why do people get pissed if you eat a New York pizza slice with knife and fork? Because that's just not the best way to eat it. That is not the best way to enjoy it. And I totally 100% agree. The best way is you fold it and then you just shove it down your throat. Why? I think part of it is so that you can get all the textures and all the flavors and all the cheeses and sauce and dough mixed in together so you can get that full experience. If you get just one bite at a time, then you're fucking up with that process. Same thing with sushi. For nigiri sushi, which is the piece of sushi on a little pat of rice, you don't take off the sushi, you don't take off the fish and then eat it separately. That's the whole thing is one package, is one cohesive unit that you're supposed to enjoy, and there are more variances, more subtleties to that, which I'm not going to talk about, but there's a better way to enjoy food. And that first opening scene just kind of blew my mind. It's a short movie from what I recall. Let's see, how long is it? It is, I don't know. I think it's like an hour and a half or something like that. Oh no, it's 2 hours, hour and 54 minutes. But it's a very simple story. Like stupidly so, but it's a great movie. So Tempopo is my recommendation for best foodie movie. I would love to hear your thoughts. What are your favorite foodie movies? To you, what makes a foodie movie? What do you appreciate foodie movies? How have foodie movies affected you? Maybe what are some of your favorite memories when you think about food? Do you relate? Do you connect with this idea that either one, food has the power to unite, to bring people together. Two, that there is a better, best way to eat different foods. At the end of the day, do whatever the fuck you want. Eat your pizza however way you want. That's fine. But there is a better way. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the best foodie movie. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I will talk to you later. Oh, subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe, like, share if you're interested. And yeah, that's it. I'm done. Let me answer this phone call.